Welcome, I am Akintayo Adetukumbo with the Vox News. South African Paralympian star sprinter Oscar Pistorius was sentenced to 5 years in prison this morning for the killing of his girlfriend last year as a sensational trial reached a climax. Pistorius stood stock still in the dock as he was sentenced.
Count 1, culpable homicide. The sentence imposed is a maximum imprisonment of 5 years imposed in terms of Section 276(1)(I) of the Criminal Procedure Act, number 51 of 1977. 2, on count 2, the contravention of Section 120, subsection 3B of the Firearms Control Act, number 60 of 2000. The sentence imposes 3 years imprisonment, wholly suspended for 5 years, on condition that within the period of suspension, the accused is not found guilty of a crime where there is negligence involving the use of a firearm. Paragraph 3, the sentence in count 1 and the sentence on count 3 shall run concurrently.
Let's talk African politics. An opposition figure in Ivory Coast has accused President Alassane Ouattara of trying to silence and behead the opposition. Pascal Affi N'Guessan, head of the FPI party of former leader Laurent Gbagbo, condemned the government's decision to send to trial 83 supporters of the former president, including Ivory Coast's former First Lady Simone Gbagbo. 65-year-old Simone, who has been accused of genocide for a role in deadly post-election violence, will go on trial on October 22. She has also been accused of being linked to death squads used against supporters of Ouattara, who later ousted his rival with help from France and UN forces. To North Africa, presidential candidate and leader of the main opposition in Tunisia, Beji Said Essebsi, says his Nida Tunis party is open to working with other parties if it wins in the upcoming elections. Essebsi urged all Tunisians to work together as the country prepares to hold parliamentary elections on October 26 and presidential elections on November 23. The main Islamist party, Ennahda, won the first free election after the 2011 overthrow of Zine El Abidine Ben Ali and governed in a coalition before a crisis erupted after the assassination of 2 opposition leaders by militant gunmen. Critics blamed Ennahda for being lax with Islamist militants of mismanaging the economy and trying to hold on to power. Still, the Islamist party remains the main contender alongside secular rivals Nida Tunis. Despite most political stability and economic opportunities, jobs and the high cost of living remain high on the list of priorities for most Tunisians. Zambian President Michael Sata has left for a medical checkup abroad at an undisclosed destination. A statement from his office said Sata left on Sunday night, accompanied by his wife and members of his family, but gave no further details. Concern about 77-year-old Sata's health has been mounting in Africa's second-largest copper producer since June, when it disappeared from the public eye for a period without explanation and was then reported to be getting medical treatment in Israel. Sata missed his scheduled speech at the UN General Assembly in September amid reports that he had fallen ill in New York. But a few days before that, he had attended the opening of his country's parliament, where he joked, "I am not dead." Back to West Africa, Nigeria has been declared Ebola-free, and its robust campaign to contain Ebola spread is set to become an example for other West African nations ravaged by the virus. Manarabi reports.
Nigerians greet their day with the kind of news some other West African nations can only wish to hear. Their country is now officially Ebola-free. The World Health Organization says there have been no new cases of the deadly virus in 42 days, well over the 21-day incubation period for the illness.
Nigeria is now free of Ebola virus transmission.
A Liberian diplomat unwittingly brought Ebola to Nigeria in July. Some 300 people were in direct or indirect contact with him, and several people became infected, including some of his own healthcare workers. In the capital Lagos, teeming with its 21 million people, an uncontained Ebola outbreak could have easily turned into a nightmare scenario. But Nigeria used a health tracking system already in place for polio and located the hundreds of people potentially in contact with patient zero. Mobile technology provided those people with live updates, and volunteers reached out to some 26,000 households living near the contacts of the other Ebola patients.
This is a spectacular success story that shows to the world that Ebola can be contained. But we must be clear that we only won a battle. The war will only end when West Africa is also declared free of Ebola.
The virus has already killed over 4,500 people and is still ravaging other parts of West Africa and now threatening the U.S. and Spain.
Meanwhile, the mayor of Freetown has called for people to spend more time at home as the nation battles Ebola. Deborah Luterberg reports.
The mayor of Freetown in Sierra Leone wants people to stay home. It's part of an effort to combat Ebola, which has already killed more than 4,500 people, mostly in West Africa. Mayor Franklin Gibson addresses merchants.
Let everybody stay off the streets in the best way we can as of now.
Exceptional measures are being put in place in the country. People are screened for Ebola as they move through parts of the country. More ambulances were brought into Freetown to help transport the Ebola patients to treatment centers. Health workers are undergoing training.
We have to fight. We have to consolidate our fight so that at the end we will achieve our goals.
The World Health Organization declared Nigeria free of Ebola Monday, a success story, as other West African nations struggle to contain a virus leaving a lethal imprint on the region.
All three versions of an Ebola virus toy are sold out on a website that markets plush dolls of microscopic organisms. Tara Cleary reports.
It's probably the only time you'll find Ebola associated with Add to Wish List. GiantMicrobes.com's fluffy rendition of the deadly virus is completely sold out. The company makes a range of plush toys modeled after microbes and diseases. And founder and CEO Drew Oliver says even though they've sold tens of thousands of Ebola toys in the past decade, the recent outbreak of the disease in West Africa has created more demand. Oliver says the Ebola virus will be back in stock imminently.
Bob Mezan is here for today's top showbiz news and headlines, including Brad Pitt premieres Fury in London, Ariana Grande performs at the BBC Radio 1 Teen Awards, and Pitbull is set to host the 2014 American Music Awards.
The biggest stars in cinema, please.
Brad Pitt walked a red carpet for the London premiere of his film Fury. Throngs of fans lined up to see Pitt and his co-stars. Fury, which closed the London Film Festival on Sunday, conquered the North American box office over the weekend. The gritty World War II drama took in $23.5 million in ticket sales. Ariana Grande hit the stage for the BBC Radio 1 Teen Awards in London. The pop sensation sang her chart-topping hit, Bang Bang. Also performing was boy band The Vamps, who took home an award for Best British Single for their song, Last Night. Other notable winners included Ed Sheeran, who won Best British Solo Artist, and TV program Sherlock, which won Best British TV Show. Finally, Pitbull will resume his role as the host of this year's American Music Awards. The rapper emceed the Music Awards show for the first time last year. The AMAs will be held in Los Angeles on November 23rd.
Let's head back to Africa. Morocco's first solar energy plant, the largest of its kind in the world, will begin operating in 2015 as part of a multi-billion euro project the oil-scarce kingdom hopes will satisfy its growing energy needs. Mustafa Bakuri, the head of Morocco's Massen Solar Energy Agency, confirmed that the Noawan thermal solar plant at the southern desert city of Kazazate will be operational next year. The North African country is aiming to become a world-class renewable energy producer and is eyeing the chance to export clean electricity to nearby Europe. It expects to build 5 new solar plants by the end of the decade with a combined production capacity of 2,000 megawatts at an estimated cost of 7 billion euros. The NOAA 1 plant costs 600 million euros and is expected to have a capacity to generate 160 megawatts. A consortium led by Saudi developer ACWA Power won the contract to build the plant near Morocco's desert gateway city last September. The World Bank, the African Development Bank, and the European Investment Bank are helping to finance the solar complex. The plant's second phase, including the construction of 2 additional solar parks, will begin at the start of next year. Still talking energy, but on a sad note, the chief executive of French oil major Total, Christophe de Margerie, was killed when his private jet collided with a snowplow as it was taken off from Moscow's Vnukovo airport last night. The collision occurred minutes before midnight Moscow time as the Margerie's Dassault Falcon jet was taken off for Paris after attending a foreign investors' council meeting chaired by Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. Employees arriving at Total's Paris headquarters this morning were shocked by the sudden death of their CEO. Analysts say the death has no impact on the market and that his successor is likely to come from within the company. Well, that's the Vox News for now. Thanks for staying tuned. I'll be back shortly. It's goodbye.